Pepsin. It is secreted by the walls of the stomach, right? Both of them are responsible for the digestion of proteins. And pancreatic juice also has an enzyme called as lipase. So the fat molecules that were broken down by the bile juice, now they get digested by this lipase enzyme. Clear? So the lipase enzyme works on the emulsified fats, meaning the broken fats. Clear? Now, apart from all of this, the walls of the small intestine, they also secrete the enzyme called as intestinal juice. Ultimately, the bigger molecules will be converted into smaller components. Just like that, proteins will be converted into amino acids because many amino acids come together and they form the protein. Same way, complex carbohydrates will get digested into simpler carbohydrates such as glucose. And then the fat molecules will be broken down into fatty acid and glycerol. So these, like, basically what we are showing over here or seeing here is that the bigger molecules are getting converted into the smaller molecules. Now talking about the site, small intestine, it is the site of complete digestion. Now, after the digestion has been completed, it has to get absorbed, right? All of the tiny micromolecules, they are needed to be absorbed. So the small intestine, they have finger-like projections, tiny projections, which we call as villi. Now the villi, they increase the surface area so that more and more absorption can take place through the small intestine. Now these villi, they are supplied with blood vessels. A lot of blood vessels are supplying them. Why? Because now the food that has been digested, it has to be absorbed into the bloodstream, right? Then only it can reach the different parts of our body. So villi are supplied with those blood vessels, and these blood vessels, they absorb the nutrients from the small intestine. Now, why do we need to absorb? So the reason why we absorb the digested food is to get energy, right? First thing is to get energy. After that, we also need the energy to build new tissues and also to repair the old tissues. Understood? Now from here, the undigested food will go into the large intestine, wherein no digestive activity takes place. No digestion takes place in the large intestine. Rather, the water, the minerals, the vitamins, all of these things, they get absorbed in the large intestine. So major absorption, the absorption of water, minerals, drugs, all of these things, that gets in the large intestine. So no digestive activity takes place in the large intestine. Now, after the large intestine has been absorbed all of these things, then finally the undigested food particles, they get egestion. Like egestion happens, they get egested by the anus. Now, the anus is also regulated by a set of muscles called as the anal sphincter that regulates the opening and closing of the anus. Clear? So with this, we have actually completed the digestion part. Now tell me, students, if anyone has any doubts regarding anything else. All the steps, all the parts that are involved, every single thing is clear to you all? All right. Okay.
Yes.
So now, okay, clear to you all, right? What about the others? Only two students are nodding. What about the others? And none of you have your video switched on. Students, how many times do I have to remind you? If I ask you to switch it on once,
Not
do
one.
you want me to? Yes? What are you saying, Alvina?
No, ma'am, nothing.
Then everyone, please switch on your videos. I will not keep asking again and again. If the teacher says it once, you're supposed to switch it on. But right now, don't switch it on. You people first note down. Then we'll move forward.
ma'am, we already finished writing this.
The whole entire part?
Yeah, the last thing we wrote was SI is equal to site of complete digestion. Yeah. Done.
Done, students?
Yes, ma'am.
All of you are done?
Yes, miss.
All right. Okay, now turn back your videos on. Let us continue. So with this, we have actually completed the digestion part. Now we'll be moving on to the breathing part. Now all of you know that there are two terms, breathing and respiration. We tend to use it as a same word only, right? But do you people know that there is a difference between breathing and there is a difference between breathing and respiration? Zainab, you'll poke your eye out. Yes. Do you people know that there is a difference between breathing and respiration? Yes or no?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
There
Yes.
is. Yes, there is actually a difference. See, when we talk about breathing, so breathing is just taking in oxygen, giving out carbon dioxide. The process of exchange of gases is what we call as breathing. But when we talk about respiration, so respiration is a process wherein we use oxygen to break down the complex carbohydrates or complex substances into simpler ones to release energy. So breathing is like it occurs at the organ and organ system level, whereas when we talk about respiration, it mostly occurs at the cellular level. So there is a great difference. Right now, we'll start with the one that we are most familiar with, and that is the breathing. Okay, now see, when we talk about the breathing, so normally if we see the pathway, right? So air is there, and air has all of its components like carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen, all of those gases are there, right? Particularly oxygen is of prime importance to us because that is the gas that we inhale. So from the air, we take in the oxygen rich gas and then we inhale it through our nostrils. Then from the nostrils, it goes into the nasal chamber or the nasal passage, that is this particular part. And then it ultimately leads to the pharynx. It reads then to the trachea, then to the bronchi. Now the bronchi at the thoracic level, meaning right in the middle of the chest, it gets divided into two. That is primary and secondary bronchi. And then ultimately it reaches to the alveoli, which is the site of exchange of gases. Meaning this is the part, it is like a balloon like structure. If you look at this particular diagram, this one, see, just like how the bronchi, it splits into two right in the middle of the chest, and then ultimately it leads to these balloon like structures, and these balloon like structures are present in both the lungs, and this is what we call as the alveoli. Clear? And this is where the oxygen gets diffused into the blood and the carbon dioxide is taken from the blood and it gets expelled out through breathing out. So this is the whole entire passage or the pathway of the air and how it travels in a nutshell. Any doubts? Okay, Aisha, where are you going? Is it something important?
Yes, ma'am. My father
Okay.
is waiting outside. Okay, thank you.
All right. So the pathway is clear to you all. The pathway, the whole entire thing happens like this. This is the series through which it happens. Now, talking about the human breathing system or human respiratory system, we use it interchangeably. So our respiratory system or our breathing system, it has the nose, it has the nasal cavity, the pharynx, larynx, trachea, which we call as the windpipe, then bronchi, bronchioles, and alveoli and the lungs. These are all the components of our respiratory system. Now, see, the bronchioles and the alveoli, they are present in the lungs. Now, our lungs are big vascularized structure that are present in a chest area. Okay, now they have this property to take in the air and give out the air. Like they have this property to be inflated and then to go back to its normal state. So bronchioles and alveoli are those components of our respiratory systems that are present inside the pair of lungs. We have two lungs present. So bronchioles and alveoli, out of all of these components, they are the only ones that are present in the lungs. And you know that nose is here, it's not present in the lung. The nasal cavity is here, again, it's not present in the lungs. Then your trachea, the windpipe is here. So all of these structures are present elsewhere, but the bronchioles and the alveoli, they are present in the pair of lungs. Now, even if you like touch it like this, you will feel circular discs present, or bones, you'll feel the bones here, right? So see, all of the, you can say, larynx, pharynx, the bronchioles, they are provided with cartilage rings. They have rings of cartilage sort of like as a protection on it. Now, why? So as to avoid the collapsing. Because, you know, when we breathe out, air is going out of our body. So it might happen that the lungs or the bronchioles, they can go like this. They can stick onto each other's wall, right? Because of the deficiency of air. So to protect from this collapsing, cartilage rings are present. Okay. Now, apart from all of the components that I told you about, the respiratory system also has certain other structures like rib cage. What is the function of rib cage, students?
Protect the heart.
Protect the heart, also to protect the lungs, right? So rib cage is there. Then the certain muscles are associated with breathing in and breathing out. So those muscles are there. Then there is a special structure called as diaphragm. It is a dome-shaped structure present below the two lungs. That is there. So all of these structures, without these structures, we can't breathe in and breathe out. So all of these structures, they help us for inhalation, that is intake of gas, and exhalation, that is the breathe out or output or out. What is the
Release.
word? Release. Yeah, release of gases. Clear? Now moving forward, see, before we study about how the process of exchange of gases take place, first we have to discuss about this one particular relation between pressure and volume, which governs our whole entire breathing. The pressure is inversely proportional to volume, meaning when you increase the pressure, the volume decreases, and when you increase the volume, the pressure decreases. Inverse proportionality tells us that whenever one value will increase, the other value will decrease. Okay, this is said. Okay, always remember the relationship between pressure and volume is that if you increase the pressure, the volume of that area will decrease. If you increase the volume, the pressure will decrease. Always remember this one thing. Clear? Now, see, when we talk about the respiratory system, see, this is like the two hearts, I'm saying, the two lungs are present, and right below the two lungs, there is like a dome shape. You people understand dome shape, right? Dome is this circular shape. So these kind of muscles are present right below, and this is what is known as the diaphragm. Any doubts up until now, students? You people have understood the whole machine behind breathing in and breathing out?
Yeah.
Okay, now we'll see how the mechanism happens. See, we know that alveoli is the site of exchange of gases, both carbon dioxide and oxygen. Both of it gets exchanged in the alveoli. Now, this alveoli, the reason being it as the site of exchange of gases is because this alveoli is richly supplied with blood, richly. And the membrane of alveoli is very thin. It is in millimeters. It is that thin. So if the membrane is thin and if the gases are present, So what is that one thing that is going to happen? The one process? Whenever gases are involved, the surrounding membrane is thin, there is a gradient also. What will happen? It's a very common process.
We learned it last year.
You did.
Osmosis. No, wait.
Osmosis is for water. It starts with a D.
Diffusion.
Diffusion. Whenever gas is very good. Whenever gases are concerned, always remember diffusion happens. Now the thing you said, Zanab, osmosis, it is the movement of water. Just like diffusion, but diffusion is for gases, osmosis is for water.
Yeah, after that, I got the.
Now, so yeah. So since the alveoli, they are extremely supplied with blood vessels, meaning it is surrounded with blood vessels. So the gases can easily diffuse through the membrane of alveoli. Okay. Now, this much is clear to you all, the machinery, meaning what are the parts of our system, respiratory system. Then the relationship between pressure and volume is clear to you all. If I increase the pressure, what will happen to the volume, Junaid? If I increase the pressure, the volume?
The volume will decrease.
Yes, the volume will decrease. Okay. Mariam, you tell me, if I increase the volume, what will happen to the pressure? Mariam, are you there? Okay. Abdul, are you there?
Yes.
Yes. Can you tell me, if I increase the volume, what will happen to the pressure? Hmm? The question is clear, right? What will happen to the pressure if I increase the volume? Are you able to hear me, Abdul?
Yes.
Yes. So answer my question. If you don't know, then you say that, ma'am, I don't know. Have you been
Yes.
listening to what I've been teaching?
Yes.
Then tell me. What happened? Abdul? See, when we increase the volume, the pressure decreases. Always remember, if you increase one thing, the other will decrease because of inverse proportionality. Inverse proportionality is there, and that is the reason why if you increase one thing, the other will decrease. Now let us see how the process actually takes place. So when we breathe in, all of you breathe in, take a deep breath, everyone. When you breathe in, what happens? Place your hand on your chest and then breathe in. Place your hand on your chest and then breathe in. Take a deep breath. Do it. What is happening? What do you feel like it's happening?
Rib cage moves up.
Your rib cage or the chest goes up while you breathe in, right? So whenever we breathe in, our ribs, they lift up. Okay? Our ribs, they lift up, and simultaneously, the dome-shaped diaphragm which is there, it flattens. It was like this. It flattens and your ribs, they lift up. Now, when the ribs, they lift up, so the volume of the chest cavity increases, isn't it? The volume means the size is also increasing. So what is happening to the pressure inside your chest?
Increase. Wait, sorry,
Huh?
decrease it. Decrease it.
It will decrease, right? If the volume of the chest cavity is increasing, the pressure of the chest cavity will decrease. Now, during this point of time, we call it as breathing because in the external environment, there is oxygen in a higher pressure. And in our body, while we are breathing in, because the volume is increasing and the pressure is decreasing, so the pressure of gases is low and outside it's high. So the oxygen from the high pressure will diffuse into the low pressure. Diffusion of oxygen will happen, right? So while we breathe in, the oxygen from the atmosphere enters into our body. Clear? Diffuses into our body. Now, after, like, while we are breathing out, now the chest cavity goes back to its normal state. The diaphragm, it was flattened, now it will become dome shaped again. The volume of the chest cavity decreases, so the pressure inside will increase. So now the pressure of the carbon dioxide inside our body is higher as compared to the outside. So now the carbon dioxide diffuses out of our body. So we breathe out in this manner. Now the oxygen that we take in, it has to be transported through the whole entire body, and that happens with the help of the blood. Our blood has so many components. It has WBCs, RBCs, and platelets. Out of those RBCs, they stand for red blood cells. So they are red in color because they have a pigment called as hemoglobin present in them. So this oxygen, and since RBCs are the component of the blood itself, so what happens? The RBC has hemoglobin, and this hemoglobin binds with the oxygen and forms oxyhemoglobin. Okay, oxyhemoglobin. And then since we know that the blood is flowing throughout our body, so this oxygen rich blood, meaning oxyhemoglobin, will go to every place, and then this oxyhemoglobin will break down to give oxygen to the whole entire body. Clear, students?
Yes.
The whole entire mechanism of breathing in and breathing out, the machinery, the pressure volume relationship, all of these things are clear to every single person?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Now, if you do have any doubts, you can ask me whenever you have a doubt. So now you people can note it down. It's very jumbled because I have a lot of things written, but try to write it better than me. Everyone's done?
Yes, ma'am.
Done.
Everyone's done?
Miss, 1 minute. I'm still writing.